Welcome to rSlash AmITheButthole, where a boyfriend tries to tap into his girlfriend's $4 million inheritance. Am I the butthole for laughing uncontrollably at my son when he asked me to replace a Christmas gift he broke out of anger? I know I likely am, but the extent of which I'm unsure about. My son is almost 17. This Christmas, we bought him an expensive computer gaming chair, as he plays a lot of online multiplayer shooters. My son has some anger issues which he's currently in therapy for, and these shooters tend to bring out his temper more than normal. However, the past few months he's been keeping it together well, so I figured the chair might be a fair present. I was wrong, because the day after Christmas he was gaming started to have bad luck, and apparently people in game were effing with him because he was losing his patience. This culminated in him screaming insults and then picking up his chair and slamming it into the ground, breaking the back of it. After talking him down, we had a very serious conversation about him no longer being allowed to play multiplayer games while under my roof until his therapist feels comfortable with his progress. Talked about coping mechanisms, etc. However, I made it very clear this was unacceptable and he would be grounded. We've had these heart-to-hearts many times, so it's not like every time he has an outburst I'm making light of it. It's a serious issue and treated like such. However, when he came to me later that day and told me he'd like me to replace the chair because it was a gift, he really liked it and it would only be fair. The frustration, disbelief, and disappointment in his behavior boiled over and I started laughing hysterically. As in a full laughing fit, barely able to breathe or talk. The more he'd plead his case, the harder I'd laugh, repeatedly asking him how it was fair in his mind to have me replace a gift I paid for that he broke in anger. This obviously pissed him off more, which led to him getting emotional, but I just couldn't seem to stop myself. I tried walking out of the room and asking him to drop it, but every time he'd say, "But I need a chair," or "What am I supposed to do now?" I'd laugh again. I tried explaining that I'm not laughing at his feelings. I'm laughing at how absurd it is for him as a teenager to expect me to replace stuff he can't be bothered to treat with respect and then whine about it when he broke it. He's still pissed about it and feels slighted. I feel bad for laughing and honestly wonder if I had some sort of mini stress break myself, because it's never happened before and I couldn't seem to stop. But at the same time, I stand by the fact that his request was ridiculous enough to make most people want to laugh. How badly did I F up? So here's a fun fact about this YouTube channel. I don't pre-read posts. Every time I read a post, you're hearing me read it for the very first time. That way, if something catches me by surprise, or if I'm shocked, or something's really funny, then I get a genuine reaction out of it. So in stories like this, when I'm laughing as I'm reading, that's actually genuine. So no OP, you get 0 buttholes, because this is so ridiculous that even I was laughing, so I really don't blame you for laughing as well. Your teenage son was being a little entitled, let's be honest. When I read the title, I was expecting your kid to be like 8 or 10 or something, but 17? Come on, a 17-year-old knows that if he destroys something, then he's responsible for it. Am I the butthole for telling my friend that she isn't as attractive as she thinks? A few nights ago, I was hanging out with one of my friends, and we decided to order food through DoorDash. About 30 minutes later, I get a notification that the delivery guy is approaching with our order. Without a word, she dashes out of the front room. I'm confused, but the doorbell rings, so I go answer it. When she hears the door close, she saunters back into the room, grabs the food from me, and starts pulling out items. Still confused, I asked, "What was that all about?" She then tells me that she doesn't like to be seen when delivery guys are at the door because they always hit on her. She then shows me a group of saved messages from delivery drivers and service workers asking her out. Apparently it's a common occurrence for her. I was shocked, and we get into a conversation about how inappropriate it is for them to do that. At some point in the conversation she says, "That's one of the drawbacks to being really pretty. I mean, if I wasn't so obviously out of your league, then I'm sure you would hit on me all the time." I laughed because I thought she was joking, but she kept pushing this point, so I responded with, "Honestly, you're not that attractive. A lot of these guys are just desperate, and they probably think they have a chance with a girl who looks like you." She tried to laugh it off as well, but the rest of the night was pretty awkward, and we haven't really spoken to each other since. Yeah, I'd say everyone sucks here. You each get about maybe 2 out of 5 buttholes. She insulted your looks, then you insulted her looks, so I guess everyone's about the same. maybe I could bump her up to like 2.5 out of 5 buttholes because she instigated it and kind of insulted you for no reason and you were just defending yourself. Am I the butthole for telling my mother and siblings that they're now dead to me? 2 years ago, I, a 21-year-old female, married a 27-year-old Korean man. We've been together for 4 years, and I have to be honest, my family never liked him because he's Asian. They, my mother and my siblings, used to make fun of his eyes, and they even made fun of his height. He's really tall, and for them, real Asians can't be tall. Last year I got pregnant, and they were happy because my daughter is their first grandchild. Well, now my daughter is 3 weeks old and my family didn't want to come to meet her because my sister, who decided to get pregnant after knowing that I was pregnant, doesn't want them to come to visit me and my husband because she thinks my husband is infected. She is obsessed with the virus that's affecting many people lately, the virus that started in China. My mother avoided my text for weeks, and when I sent her pictures of my daughter, she didn't even answer me. And one of my sisters even made fun of my daughter's eyes. I sent her a picture of her and she said, "Oh, she has racial slur eyes like your husband." I tried to ignore that kind of comment, but I had enough. Yesterday, they decided that they wanted to come to meet our daughter, so they showed up at my house with gifts for her, but I didn't open the door. And when she called me to tell that they were outside, I said that we only accept visits from family members and that they are no longer my family. And my mom cried and told me that she has the right to meet her first granddaughter. That I was being cruel, but I told her to shut the F up and I hung up the phone. Today, my sister, the one who said that my daughter has racial slur eyes, sent me a text saying that she's very sorry and that she wants to meet my daughter, but I told her not to contact me anymore because for me, they're dead and I blocked all my family from everywhere. Am I the butthole for telling them that? OP, I'm gonna give you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm actually married to an Asian girl, and if my family treated her that way, I would 100% cut them out. So I think you made the right call. Am I the butthole for replying to a rude customer in the language they were speaking in front of me? I'm a slave to the siren, a Starbucks barista. I'm pretty decent with most customers, and I'm pretty good at having conversations with customers and sensing when someone just wants the line to move forward. Anyway, I was on register the other day taking people's orders. 2 older men were ordering from me. One of them said, "A coffee, black." So I just asked to clarify the size he wanted and the roast, blonde, medium, or dark. To which he first spoke to his friend and said, rudely, "A coffee, black. Nu zeg niet die slimste me die hier werkt he. Ze zouden in beetje kunnen leren am hun hier zinnen te gebruiken?" Which is Dutch and translates very roughly to, "Wow, this is not the smartest gal that works here, huh? They could learn to use their brains a little." Then he told me he wanted a medium dark roast. So I nodded and then replied to him in Dutch, asking him the regular questions I would to complete an order. Anything else to eat or drink today? What was your name for the other drinks? Do you have a Starbucks reward card? I was perfectly pleasant and smiley for the rest of the transaction, but just conducted it in Dutch. He answered the questions in English, but his eyes were bulging out of his head. His friend looked kind of worried, but burst out laughing when they walked away. I realized it might not be the best look for someone in service, and when my coworker asked me what it was about and I explained, she seemed kind of confused as to why I would do that. I don't think it was a butthole move because I was still nice to the guy, but I definitely called him out and made it clear to him that I understood the stuff he was saying. But maybe I shouldn't have because of the position I was in at the time, like customer service. Am I the butthole? God no, OP, 0 out of 5 buttholes. Just because you're in customer service doesn't mean everyone else has the right to just treat you like a piece of garbage. And to be honest, you handled that situation about as gracefully as someone could expect. That Dutch guy, however, gets 3 out of 5 buttholes. That was extremely rude. This next set of posts is super unique because 2 separate people who were in an argument made 2 separate posts on r/AmITheButthole. Am I the butthole for asking my bridesmaid to temporarily change her vibrant hair color for my color-schemed wedding? I'm a 24-year-old female, and my 26-year-old bridesmaid/cousin Ella is to be in my wedding party in June. The ongoing issue is that my wedding has a blue and green peacock theme, and guests have been asked to follow this color scheme with their clothes. Hair wasn't originally included at all in the color scheme, but my cousin Ella has natural bright ginger hair. I would never ask someone to permanently change their hair for my wedding. I know that would be bonkers, so I suggested some temporary hair dye. But Ella argued that she's been growing her hair for 6 years and doesn't want to risk the color not washing out. I thought this was ridiculous because it literally says that it washes out in like 14 washes. But Ella says because her hair is completely natural color, it might take strongly to her hair. So I gave up on that avenue and suggested a wig. It's one day, one single day, and there are some amazing wigs these days. I had a look on Instagram and you wouldn't even be able to tell. But she said she would feel self-conscious and weird wearing a wig, and that because her hair is butt length that it might sit weird on her head. So she won't dye it and won't cover it up. I really don't want to come across as a bridezilla, but butt-length flaming red hair will destroy the wedding photos and ruin the color scheme completely. I'm at a loss. I can't cut her from the wedding because my mom would murder me, but I can't have freaking Merida ruining the photos. Am I the butthole for asking this of her for just one single day? Then OP's cousin makes a post. Will I be the butthole if I refuse to attend my cousin's wedding after she asked me to dye my ginger hair? Yes, I'm aware that my cousin posted here, and oh the irony as I showed her this sub last year. But I really don't care if she sees this. Maybe it'll hammer the point home. And I doubt she'll see it as they're currently on their pre-wedding honeymoon. Legit didn't even know those were a thing. So Amy's getting married. She has a blue, green, and purple theme for her wedding. People are supposed to wear these colors, including the maid of honor and the bridesmaids. What irked me about that post was that my hair is not flaming Merida red. Maybe slightly more ginger in low light. This whole thing is completely insane to me, and I have no idea where it's come from. My hair is what I would describe as strawberry blonde, maybe ginger blonde. Those are actual pictures of my hair, not some poor stranger's Instagram. Things have been awkward from the start with Amy demanding that everyone has to stick to the dress code or they'll be barred by security at the frickin' door. She's also asked anyone with hair past their waist to cut it in a Facebook post, but it got no replies and I can't think of anyone except me and maybe my sister with super long hair. My mom and dad are both way more ginger than me, and my sister, who's 8 months pregnant, has hair that's not much shorter than mine and is super ginger. And Amy never asked her to touch her hair. If anything, I got the dull hair gene. At first, Amy called up to tell me she made a post here. I took a look and I had a laugh, to be honest. She linked me early on, clearly thinking people would agree with her, but she said she was worried because it blew up. After things went south, she decided to try and negotiate with me. Still completely bizarre as my hair is not Merida red. My mom and dad called around a few days back to talk about it, but got absolutely nowhere with her as she's still insisting I dye my hair a dark brown for the day or get a wig. My aunt, Amy's mom, called to apologize to me and asked me to please come, but I don't feel welcome. Can you imagine attending a wedding where the bride stares daggers at you the whole time? And what if security refuses to let me in? These are extremely similar to the gowns the bridesmaids are gonna wear. I've tried mine on and it absolutely does not clash at all. I bought and paid for my dress, so I don't owe her anything, but our families are so upset that I'm dropping out. But if I go, I have no choice except to dye my hair as there never was a compromise or middle ground. It was dye it, buy a short brown bob wig, or don't come. She specified it has to be a short brown bob wig for some reason. Will I be the butthole if I say F it and just stay home? Edit. Also, to be fair, I dyed a small strand underneath to test how it washed out 4 weeks ago, and it's still dark brown. So this one's pretty cut and dry. The bride absolutely does have a right to decide what her wedding's gonna be like and who gets to come and not come. But that being said, there's a line of how much you can expect people to do for your wedding day, and I think this bride has crossed it. Also, I looked at the pictures of the cousin's hair that she posted, and I don't know what this bride is talking about. Her hair is at most strawberry blonde, not Disney Princess Merida red. So I'm gonna give the bride 2 out of 5 buttholes and the cousin 0 out of 5 buttholes. I really don't blame you for staying home and skipping this wedding. Sounds like this bride kinda has some issues, to be honest. Am I the butthole for telling my boyfriend he isn't entitled to my inheritance? My grandpa passed away a few months ago, and I inherited a little over $4 million from his estate. I had no idea he had that much money and was honestly not expecting to receive anything, as I assumed it would all go to my mom. After I got over the initial shock, I took the opportunity to finally quit my job, which I really hated, as I don't have any outstanding debts and can easily live off of $40,000 a year. I'm pretty introverted and am more than happy to stay at home working on art/music/other interests in gaming. Ever since I inherited the money, my boyfriend has been pressuring me to cover all of the rent and utilities. About $1,200 a month for our apartment and start putting money away into a joint savings fund. I would be happy to do this if we were married, but we're not. We've only been dating for a year and a half, and I would prefer to keep our finances separate. Despite not working anymore, I still pay my half of the rent every month and have started paying for a housekeeper to come in and clean a few times a week. So our apartment is nearly always spotless and looks great. I told my boyfriend he isn't entitled to my money, and he said I was being selfish for expecting him to still contribute to the rent when I could easily afford to pay for the whole thing. Am I the butthole? God no, OP, this is red flag city. You don't need a joint savings account, you need a lawyer and an accountant, ASAP. That was rSlash, Am I the Butthole? And if you don't like and subscribe, then you are definitely the butthole.